Let's see here. Something seems to be going fishy. We're good there. View on watch. There it is. Alright, so this has to switch over. There we go. Live coding. Hopefully people will come on over to the correct side. Let's just see here. Something got screwed up. Alright. Good to go. Yeah, the way that YouTube has it set up now, you could either just push stuff straight through to your channel and it goes live automatically, like an instantaneous one, not planned. Or you could set up an event for a specific time and then you can push to that specific event. So what happened was I started the stream on my end and it pushed over to just a normal stream instead of the event that I had scheduled, so it sort of got screwed up there, but I think I got that all solved. Got some people coming in now watching, so that's good. All right, so what happened was last week we on this channel we worked on a brand new application for Alias Nerd. It's sort of like a website, aliasnerd.com. We were working on that. Got a little bit far into it, but over the weekend I switched over and started working on a client project that came back into, well, it just needed to get done again. So I thought, well, I better start working on this again. So I decided just to switch over and record that. I'm going to try and record as much coding as I can. If it's a little bit boring, that's fine. I just keep the camera rolling. I'll make actual videos when it comes down to time to teach something or show something specific. But just messing around with different things, I'll just hit record, and if you want to watch, you can watch. So over the weekend we worked on this commission.com, and I got a feature they wanted done, which was a reporting feature. So you could click and it'll give you like a report of everything all in one page. So I did that, wrote the test and all that for that. So we have all tests are passing on this app. 128 tests, 215 assertions passing. Git is up to date. So now I want to work on the next thing that needs to happen, which is when you create an account, it's going to go through sort of like a setup process just to make sure you have the things that you need to set up to use the actual application. So I'm just going to probably go in and we'll log out. And I'm just going to see what happens now. I'm pretty sure this part of it is broken just because I added a controller, and well, I added a redirect in the application controller. So every time you load a page, it checks a certain number of things, and if any of those things aren't there, it redirects you to the setup. So I did that, but I haven't actually done the setup pages yet. So I just want to see if there's any errors show up here. So we'll just do this, refresh, resend the sign out order, because it's deleting a session, so it's not just a simple GET request, so I'll just resend that. Try and code for today, about an hour, hopefully. Busy day today at work, so take an hour off the real work and do some coding because I enjoy it. Wait for this slow ass virtual box to load. Don't be afraid to use the chat if anyone wants to just talk about nonsense or ask questions, and I'll try and keep an eye on it. Make sure that I'll answer anything you got. So we have we signed out, so I'm just going to register a new account and see what happens. The whole thing is like it's this onboarding process that I'm trying to design right now. So we're going to, okay, stupid virtual box. Okay, so um, uh, Billy Franks, that's going to be the company or the name. Test, yeah, test Billy at test.com. Password is the password. And we will register this. So the first thing that comes up will be the password didn't match. Password will be the subscription form, because the first thing it does is say, has this person paid to use the service? And yeah, so here. So this is like a good old payment thing. So I'm just going to click start subscription. So we'll subscribe. And then after this, it should go to the next thing will be the setup, which is, I figured it's not going to work. The action talents could not be found for setup controller. So I created a setup controller and said in the application controller, check the setup, and if it's not right, to redirect. So that's what it's doing, but I haven't done any of the code to actually for the setup yet, so it's not working, it's not there. So that's what I have to do now. So let's just double check here and make sure. So it's not finding an action called talents for setup controller. So the first thing is I'm going to go into my routes and see what I have set up there. So I'm just going to control, well, I don't want to do that. I want to go over here. Control P into routes. And so I have the setup. I have agents and clients. So it's a little naming script. I named everything talents when I designed the database. And I should have asked ahead of time, which I didn't, which was a mistake, but they want everything called clients, or they prefer. So I just have that naming difference for anything visible to a user or the public. I have it as clients, but I could switch this to clients as well, just to keep things sort of good, but my database is named talents. And I could go and switch it all out, but it's not hard for me to remember, and it's not a big deal, so I'm just keeping it. So what this is saying is go to the setups controller and find the action called talents. It must be because it created an agent for me, so I didn't need to go to that one first. So let's go ahead over to the going to close this and let's go over to the setup controller and see what I have so far. So Control P to the setup controller. I did call it clients, so that's why it's complaining. In the code, yeah, I'm probably going to call it talents, because that's what I call it in the model, and it just makes sense to keep it going. And plus, it's called talents controller and all the tests and talents views, and so I'm just gonna keep it like that. So save that. Views. Let's just see. I'm just gonna type in views, and where are we in right now? Setup. So we don't have any views for setup. Okay, so yep. Okay. So what we're going to do is create a directory for that. And we don't have anything there, so I'm just going to say make directory for app views setup. Oh, it says I do have one. Why wasn't this finding it? Control P, views, whoops, get rid of the setup there. Views slash setup. I'm going to just refresh this with F5 because it should be finding it. I'm just double checking what I've already done before I start going too far forward. Um, Once I've done that, then I'm going to start writing tests to make sure the tests pass, and then I can go ahead and look at the actual views itself to see what they're going to look like. But I should get all the backend server-side code tested and written to be good. So we have views and setup. It's not liking that. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to do, go back into nerd tree, and see for myself what's there. It's probably because there's nothing in there. So what I could do is, actually, instead of writing the views, let's just write the tests. So I'm going to split this off and write some tests for this. Test controller. Controllers. Because of the test controllers slash setup controller test. And funny enough, we need I'll use the agent controller test. We need a setup inside of our new one, so we're just going to I'll copy all that over to here. And we have no index, we have no, I'm just going to have a show view inside of there. And I'm going to, so we need to set up a user and need to be subscribed, because in order to see that page, you need to be logged in and you need to be subscribed to be able to see. So that's done. Signing in is down here. We need an agent and a client. So actually we don't need, interesting, we don't need a, oh yeah, we're not doing a show page, we're doing a, let's get rid of these then. So we don't need those. So this should be, should show agent setup page. So this is not show, it's going to be agent. And this is no ID, doesn't need one. And we're just looking for a response. And then we're going to go down here and yank that down, and we're going to test for the talents one. Okay, and then this is going to, so I'm pretty sure I just did setup controller. I did do agents talents. Okay, so I'm going to jump over here, add the S, add the S. Okay, so we will run this test and it's going to fail or have an error, number one. And then once we get the error, then we'll go and fix it so it actually does succeed. And that's just pretty much saying that we can get to those pages without any issue. And okay, so we do have the two errors. So let's go check that out. So it should be template errors. So the first one was a template error, a missing template, and the second was a missing template. So let's just go add those templates now. So we'll go back to this screen and say edit app views setup, and we're going to create one called agents.html.erb, and in here we will insert content for, so I'm going to add some content to a block called page title that I set up on my layout. And inside there, I'll just give the page title, which is going to be set up your agents. I should probably swap this out. Oops. Swap that out for capital Y, and then we will finish off that block. Perfect. Okay, so set up your agents. So that's pretty much all we need to do for now. And then we're also going to edit a app views setup, and the other one was called talents. html.erb. Oh man, I should have just copied that over. Save, and then I will go back and just copy this. Yank that, and paste that in there. Setups your, let's just set up your clients. Save that, jump over and fix that setups thing. Okay. Whoops, okay. So setups your agent, get rid of that. Save this and jump over here, save that and check. Okay, it's running setups controller. Now these should pass because now we have views for them. And all is good in the world. All right, so now we have tests that go with our test suite. Perfect. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's go back into Firefox and say refresh, because it should be able to find it now. Problem. The page isn't redirecting properly. Ah, yes, I know why. So what happens is, this is a common mistake that will happen. Not that I should have made the mistake, but a lot of people, noobs, including myself, make this mistake. So I'm going to jump over here and just show you guys the application controller. The app controller. Okay. So in the application controller, I'll go up to the top and you'll see I have my before action. So I'm just checking things like, is the user authenticated, meaning logged in? Are they subscribed? Have they completed the setup? All that kind of stuff. So at the bottom, the completed setup, right now it just sort of goes through and says, have they set up talents or agents? I'm going to modify this in a bit, but anyway, so all it does is say, have they set these things up? And if not, redirect them to this path and this alert. So saying, please set up your first client, please set up your first agent. I might switch this out a little bit, but that's essentially what happens, and then it redirects them if they have not set anything up yet. So that's fine. The problem is, on our setup page, we obviously haven't set up anything up yet. So like, we don't want them to redirect on the setup page because that's where we want them to actually do the setup. So what we have to do is we have to skip this before action. So I'm going to just copy that and go on over to the, where do I want to go? I want to just check something out here. Welcome controller. Okay, and then setup controller. So at the very top of this, I'm just going to paste in that before action, the complete setups, and then I can just erase this. So just delete that and go here and say skip this. So now that that's skipped, it's no longer going to redirect because we're in the setup controller. It's not going to look at this complete settings. because that's what we're doing right here. We're actually going to complete the settings so that that thing doesn't redirect anymore. And then we can go back to Firefox and just reload to say, yep, we're all good. This is sort of something that your tests really have to pay attention to how that works. Um, the controller test is testing the controller code itself, like the actual code. So I can hit that actual block of code and test that it works. The problem is by doing that, we're not going through the process of all the redirects to get to that page. So there are tests that actually do that, that you could essentially go in and click a link and see what happens when you click that link and it takes you all the way to the final end page that you want to go to. There are tests that you're going to want to write to do that, but these basic unit tests are the ones that test the actual little bits of code that you've written, like all the little methods and all the classes. It tests those individually to make sure your actual code doesn't have bugs in it. The how the actual application functions is a totally different thing. Like how each piece fits together in a process, that's different. That should be tested as well, but in a different way. So there you go. We've come up to this setup for your clients. That's perfect. One thing that I want it to do though is I'm going to go back to the code and I want it to hit the agents if there is only zero or one agents created, because what I do on the, let's go to the users model. So model slash user. And when you sign up, I'm going to create an agent right here for you. So the agent is built here with a commission percentage of 100%. This is just the actual company, the user that signed up. This is what that is for. And it's just to get the ball rolling. So I don't set up anything else because it wouldn't make sense to set up clients for that agent because I don't want to have a made up client that they have to delete. But it could make sense for them to have an agent under with the client's name so that it does actually work in most cases. So I want to make sure when I do my application controller that down here when I check if current users exist, I actually want to be doing something like this. So I'm going to change word to count is greater than 1. So this is just saying if I have more than one agent, then don't worry about redirecting. But if I only have one agent, then redirect to, but that might actually cause an issue too. So I should actually rethink this. What would make more sense is if, because if they only have one agent in the company, I don't want that constantly redirecting back to here. That would actually be really bad. So I'm going to undo that change, save, and what's going to happen is I'm going to have a like a flag on the user to say if they've completed the setup process or not. That might be a way of doing it. I was debating if I should actually, this is probably a much smarter way of doing it. Instead of having a flag and actually hitting and setting things, I should just not do the before action. Let's just see here. Yeah, I just won't do the before action. I probably won't do this at all. What I'll do is I just, after they sign up, the registration process will send them directly to this. And it'll just sort of be a path that they can take. Because there's no... Yeah, I'll leave this here. Just thinking here. Yeah, I'll leave this here. And I'm going to do this a different way. So instead of, I'll still leave that there just in case, because I don't want them to have none, because it is required for the other stuff to have at least one agent, one talent. So I need to have this here. What I can do instead is have the registration go to the page that I want it to go to. So I'm going to do a quick search because I'm using devise and I just want to see how to so Rails devise. I want to see how to send the user to a page after, like the redirect link after registration. Redirect after sign up. How to redirect to this page after sign up. That's what I want. Okay, so the registration controller, devise controller. Make a new controller, registrations controller, and customize the appropriate method. Okay, so I've done this before. So sign up path for, if the account that is registered is confirmable and not yet active, you have to override. Okay, so we don't have that. Modify the routes to use the new controller. So devise for users, controllers, registers. Okay, we can do that. Optionally copy views. We've done that already, so I have the views. Modify the application.rb. So what does this do? You might need this line to encounter missing template or user slash sign up page, which is, we don't need that because I already know all the templates are working. So it looks like we just need to create a registration controller. So I'm going to just copy this and we will create this new controller. So from in here, I'm just going to edit app/controllers. Registration controller.rb, and we will paste this code in there. Okay, for some reason that does that. It's weird. So this is doing nothing but overriding this after signup path. So we don't need any of this. And we want this to go to the agent setup. So setup underscore agents underscore path. And registrations controller. I just called it registration controller. So I'm going to save that, exit out of here, go over to a clean one of these, and then move that over to the new name app because I named it wrong. Controllers, registration controller, move that over to app, controllers, registration, and add an S there. Perfect. So now I can go VS over to here and it's because it's not, hasn't been refreshed there yet. So anyways, we need to do the routes though. So routes, and for the devise for users, we need to just copy paste this code. So we're just right here, we're just going to switch over the controller for this. Right here. And I think I grabbed the, yep. So we're switching over to a registrations controller, which is our own. So we're just going to save that. And I'm just going to test this out right in the browser here. So I'm going to log out of here. Interesting. This is a bug. Yeah. it doesn't let you log out because I haven't set up any clients yet, so better fix that first. So we need to go to the application controller. Whoops. And right here it's checking that. So I wonder if I can also tag in unless onto the backside here. Device controller. And if it's a device controller like a logout, then go ahead and do it. So I'm going to save that and see if that solves this bug. Refresh. Wait for this slow ass thing. Alright, so let's try and log out now that we've fixed this. Let's get this, there we go. Log out. Perfect. So let's register another user and see if it automatically takes us over to that page. Test company 5. Password. So all our tests are still passing, so that's a good sign. And we'll register test company 5 and see if it takes us directly to this page. Oh, no, it must be, damn it. Huh, so this is something I didn't think of. So it goes to subscription page. So I need a way for after you start subscription to go and set up, but it sort of does not work the way I want it to. It's sort of like you register once and that's the only time you ever do it. You could start a subscription more than once if say you canceled it or put it on hold and then you restarted it. So I can't just say right after you're done this screen, go over to the other one. I could do it in the session. So I could say go to the, after the registration, then set something up in the session. Yeah, I could tell it to go directly to here, and then, yeah, go directly to here, and then if, and then set up something in the session saying, do the setup stuff. I could do that. That's one way. I could also figure out how other people do it, but I might as well come up with my own solution. Let's see here. Because it's not like I want, this is I want to keep on happening if they're not subscribed, but the other setup I just want to happen once. So yeah, let's go ahead and just do the session thing. Just because it's, yeah, this is probably the best way to do it. It's the way that most people probably handle it. So that does that, that does that. So we're gonna head on over to the so we'll go back to the registration. Oh yeah, that doesn't work. I'll just refresh that now. Hope everyone's having a good day today. Good Monday. Right where I'm at, it's pretty cold, which sort of sucks for springtime. But it's nice for staying indoors and coding, so that's always good. So let's go over to, let's see if this is loaded here. Registrations, and spell it right, and it will really help you out. Okay, registrations controller. So this is going to go to the new subscription path. I believe that's what it's called. I'm going to rake routes, and while that's loading, I'm going to look up the session stuff just to make sure I do it right. Rails session. Pretty sure it's just a session hash that I just tag stuff into. Yep. So really, it doesn't matter. Like, you can hijack a session really, really easy, which actually is down here, session hijacking. But really, if I stick this in the session, the worst they can do is turn it on or off. And I really don't care if, like, I want them to go through the setup to make sure everything's done properly, but there is already that failsafe saying if there's no agents or talent, then they have to set it up. So this is more or less just a convenience thing. So it doesn't matter if someone manually turns it off. So we're just going to use the session hash, just the standard hash. That's good. Let's just make sure this charges subscription new. So new subscription path. Good. All right. So I think we got everything figured out. New subscription path. Good. So here we're just going to add to the session because it's right after. There's probably a much better spot to put this, but for right now, this is going to be where we're going to do it. Setup equals true. That's all we need to do. We don't even need it to be true. We can have it as a string. It'll convert that over to a string, but it can be anything, right? We're just going to look for that this is set up. Good. So we're just going to save that. And then in our application controller, we're going to do this. We already have this complete setting, so that's just checking to make sure that so I'm going to do it down here. So if session, I wonder if, okay, I'm going to check if a key is in session. Rails check if session has key. Key question mark. Okay. Whoops. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we got the session. We're checking if the key of go up. Change word. What was the key again? Set up. So if that's the case, the path should be set up. Oh, no. I have to do this a little bit different. So if session dot setup equals agent, then else else if session equals client. Oh, no, I want that to be setup. Setup equals client path equals setup talents path. All right, so that's what it's going to be. So I can actually tell it what part of the setup to do. So I'll set it like agent will go to there, and then if the setup says client, go to there. So it's sort of like keeping track of the position within that wizard, I guess, based on the session assignment. So good. And then if setup is set up, but it's not one of these things, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to be like, oh, whatever. So if it's set up and it's not any of those, then I should clean it out. So I'm just going to check if there's a Railsy way of doing that. Rails session remove key. Best way to clear a session variable in Rails. Nil, that's what I was thinking, but you could just delete. So you just go delete. Session.delete. And we're going to delete the setup. Beautiful. So that's a pretty clean way of doing that. Set the path, and we're doing it inside of complete settings, which we already have figured out. And that also catches if they manually go to any URL, like link to a URL, and they're still supposed to be doing the setup, it'll bring them back to the setup to have them walk through that. Because in this particular application, it's important that they have certain things set up. And if they don't, then it sort of screws everything else up. So we want to make sure they get all that stuff figured out. Good. Now, obviously, yeah, no, it all still works because it'll check if they exist up top. So if they did try and skip it through the session, it'll still work. Good. Okay. So we need to go back to the registration controller because I need this to say not true, but instead I need it to do agent. Perfect. So what happened here? We had that. Okay. So I'm going to go back and sign up 66, and then do a password. Like I said, there's plenty of ways of writing tests to do this type of thing for you. Okay, so that's good. It went directly to here. Now let's just check the sessions. Like I said, there's plenty of ways of writing tests to actually go through and walk through this process for you, but I like writing the unit test to begin and then actually walking through myself to get a feel for how the actual app is used by a human. It's just a lot easier for me to look at like all the different choices that I could have to click and if that actually is a good idea or not. So in how do we do this? Network. I know how to do it in Chrome. How is it done here? So let's reload this page and take a look at the session. Okay, cookies, session. I guess there's no way we can actually go in there. If we set a cookie, we could see it better, but Let's just go through and click subscribe. Okay, so I'm going to do something so I know that it's the actual session that's doing this. I'm going to go in here and go to this and change the alert to say I don't think it actually worked there. Oh yeah, because I set the alert, but okay. Please change and set here this. I'll say it's time to set up all your agents. Swap this out for capital T. Yank, paste. It's time to set up all your clients. And I'll say next. Next, it's time to set up all your clients. Perfect. So now if I go back here, this alert should be, please set up your first agent. This should be changing to the session-based alert. Fingers crossed at least. No alert, but let's see here. I wonder if that actually did work. Let's go and do it a different way just for debugging purposes. Actually, I could probably put in a by bug here, and then it'll stop there and I just check what the session is. Okay, now I'll go over here, wait for the by bug. This is what takes so long on this VirtualBox, is this getting all the assets. It doesn't do it on production, obviously, but and even on like my Mac development environment, it's much quicker. But here, it's just having to load all these assets takes forever. There's the last one. It's loading. Welcome, and then it's going to switch on over to the executing the server code. Halt on by bug, and I will check what's in the session. Or not. Interesting. Oh, I know why, because we're in setup agents already. So it doesn't run that code because we're already there. So I could pretty much go anywhere and it's going to redirect me back there with the message. Waiting for it to load again. Actually, let's just make sure the buy bug isn't running here. Yeah, it is. Okay. So we can check if the session. Oh, don't tell me this froze again. Doesn't like it when guards open, I find. Okay, so session setup. Nil. That's why. So it didn't save the setup on the registration. Oh, that's weird. So what I should do is look into Rails devise I like to set session available once the user sign in based on the user table. I don't want to. I don't want to create a custom if I don't have to. Is there any way? After update path 4. Don't return the path in the last line. Yeah, got that. Thanks. This should definitely work. Yeah, I thought so too. I don't know why my session was not created. Exit. Continue. Perfect. Guard works. That works. Okay, set up your first. Yeah, it's doing this because I don't have a session. It's not. I'm saying I don't have a session in there, which is really weird. After sign up path for. Whoops, I want to check this. Yeah, after. So in here I'll go down to protected, update needs confirmation, update reserves. After sign up path for. Now I'm curious, I doubt I'd need to restart the server, but maybe I do. Okay, this is really driving me crazy. So I'm going to close that down. And inside of here, Rails C, I'm going to click on it, and then one way we can find out if it's working or not is check the logs to see if it actually got redirected off of something that we wanted to take it to. So wait here. Wait for this to load. And we are going to log out. I do have bybug set up though, so I should get rid of that in application controller. Yep, right there. And okay, logged out, register. Man, we'll try test company 7, 77. And we'll log in here, or register. This should set the session now. Hopefully it's going over to that new controller. And so it'll redirect us to the subscription page, which is just what we're expecting. You have signed up successfully. Start subscription. Let's see what happens. It's time to set up all your agents. Perfect. That's exactly what we want it to do. So that means that the session is set. Oh, I know a better way than bybug to go and check that. Let's set up a new bash shell here and go into Rails C, because our Rails environment will have the session in there right now. We'll wait for Rails to load here, and then we're just going to go into the terminal instead of the actual web browser. So we're saying that the session setup should be, no, undefined local variable session. Okay, let's just see. I know you can probably do this, but Rails access session from Rails console. Console tricks. That's an actual video, so this might be actually harder than I thought. Oh yeah, it's a lot harder. Look in the temp session and find the most recent. Yeah, this you have to actually grab it. So it's not as easy as I thought it was. So never mind. Exit that. And but anyways, we know it's working because it's doing this. So I'm going to have a button on here that you click, and then it'll switch on over to the talent setup. I'm just wondering how to get, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a form here for adding agents, as well as the index list of all the agents that you have. So you just see all the lists. You can add new ones if you want. So there's going to be a button saying um, add agent, and then there's going to be a button saying save and exit, or save and next. And when you click save and next, it's going to go, where should it go? How should I do this? Hmm. When it hits setup agents, it should, you should hit a button save and next, and that's what changes the session. I need another method in there. Yeah, so let's add another method. So I'm going to do the setup controller. So this just sort of gets hit and will load information into there. But so we'll call this one agents next. New. Yeah, I'll just call it agent. This is going to be a little unorthodox, but we'll call it that. And then the session for the setup is now going to be talents. So this is going to be def talents next. And for now, we're going to do sessions dot delete setup, because if you click next on the talents, you're done. There could be more later on where we continue on the thing saying talents next would tell you to go to the next step, but we only have two steps. We only have agents and talents, so that's fine. So we have everything set up here. We should add some buttons to go to the agents next. So we'll first save this, set up some routes, and then we'll create some buttons that go there. So we'll do this. Okay, so this will be a post. I think we can just do that. So if you post to there, it's going to go to next as agents next path. And we'll do the exact same thing for the clients. So this one will be called talents next. Save that, and let's create some buttons that go to there. So we'll go into the views, setup, and we'll do agents first. So we'll do bootstrap form 4. Actually, I'm not going to bother with that right now. Let's just do it normal. Form, action. Well, we don't need an action. Method equals post form, and then we'll submit. We'll do a submit type, and we'll have it have a value of save and next. Actually, we'll make it a little bit more user-friendly. So we'll say, I am done with agents setup, something along those lines. We can change that later. And then we're going to have a class equals button and button primary. Close that off. So okay, so yank that, and we will save and go over to views, setup, talents. Whoops. Okay, so paste that in there. Okay, save. So let's go over and just test that these two things work. Should have wrote some tests for them, which we'll do right after this. Let's just refresh this. 208. So I'm just going to do this, and then if this works, I'm going to write 2 tests, and that's going to be all I'm going to do for this hour. Head back to my normal job. So essentially we need to change the session for it to be able to go to the next thing, like setting up the clients. It needs to actually change the session to do that. So that's what this button should do. If this button does not work and it doesn't change the session, then what's essentially going to happen is it's going to keep redirecting back to here. So just click this and see if we can get this to change. Oh yes, very much not. So what this is you need a security token to have a request from a form, a post request. It needs to have a security token attached to it. And because I just hand wrote that form field, it doesn't have that. So what we're going to want to do is easily fix that. Is going to into here. Form tag. Oh, what the heck is going on here? Tag. Oh my God. And then this is deleted, and we will go here. I think that's all we need for the form tag, but I could be wrong. You definitely need the plus equal sign here. Before I go too far with this, let me just quickly Google that. Rails form tag. No, I don't want the helpers, I want the actual form tag. Using form tag. I don't need that. I don't think I need any of that. So technically this should be fine. I don't know if I need a comma there or not, but let's just do this. Okay, let's try that. This could need something. I don't want an action, so that's sort of why I'm not including that. 2 errors. What are the errors before I go too far forward? Syntax error, keyword, expression, end of input. I think it's this is not liking it. Syntax error. So it doesn't like this. I wonder if that'll fix it. Otherwise I have to put like nope. Obviously I need do, which is probably the main thing that's screwing up here. Duh. Okay. There we go. That's what I was missing, the do. All right, so this will give us the authentication code that we were missing before. Try to go quick and hand bomb that form field in there and just should have done that. Try this again. Click this and it should send us over to set up your talents. Nope. Missing. Oh, geez. Geez. Okay, that's an easy fix. Set up controller. So redirect to set up talents path. Redirect to root. Save. So you just have to redirect because then it's looking to actually set up a view for here, and we don't want a view for there, so we're just going to redirect over. Where did I do the rake routes? I think I did rake routes up here. No, obviously not. No, this is something different. I'm pretty sure that was a path. No, it's not. Okay. Set up agent's path. Set up client's path. Oh my god. run this. There we go. That worked. We'll do it one more time. It should take us back to the root path. Then we can click I am done with client setup. Oh yeah, root path, for God's sakes. So the test for these will essentially just be hitting the action and then seeing if it redirects to the spot where you want to redirect to. That's pretty much it. So it's gonna, in this particular case, it's going to redirect me back to here, set up the agents, but it's doing so because I don't have any agents set up. So it's saying, please set up your first agent. So we don't have to worry about that too much right now. This will eventually have it so you can't click I'm done with agent setup. It'll say you can't really be done if you haven't set up any agents. So that's something I'm going to work towards. But for now, I just want to get the the setup process figured out where someone registers, they subscribe, and then it sends them to the setup pages. And then once they get through here, then they can use the app properly. But I want to always to sort of bring them back here if things aren't set up properly. That was the whole point. So now I've got that figured out, how it sort of will work. Now I can add content to the set of pages to actually have it so it displays all the agents and displays a form where you can add new ones as well as do the same thing for the clients. All right, so that's pretty much where I'm going to end it off today. I got to get back to work here on my real job. So this looks good, and we will talk to everyone later.